Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of Current Affairs MCQs. Let's begin with the previous day question. Consider the following statements. 1. India has the world's largest bauxite reserve, the ore used to produce aluminium. 2. Nearly 60% of India's bauxite reserves are concentrated in Odisha. 3. Economically, aluminium ranks as the third most important base metal after iron ore and copper. How many of these statements given above are not correct? A. Only one. B. Only two. C. All three. Or D. None. The correct answer is option A. India has the world's fifth largest bauxite reserves, the ore used to produce aluminium. Hence, statement 1 is not correct. It is a rock consisting mainly of hydrated aluminium oxides. Bauxite is primarily used to produce alumina through the Bayer process. Nearly 60% of India's bauxite reserves are concentrated in Odisha. Hence, statement 2 is correct. The deposits of bauxite are mainly associated with laterites and occur as capping on hills and plateaus, except in coastal areas of Gujarat and Goa. Australia continued to be the major producer and accounted for about 29% share in the total production, followed by China 19%, Guinea 18%, Brazil 10%, and India 7%. Economically, aluminium ranks as the third most important base metal after iron ore and copper. Hence, statement 3 is correct. Hence, option A is the correct answer. Drishti IAS is launching its IAS GS Foundation Prelims plus Mains offline batch in Noida. For the English medium, the batch begins on 4 June at 8 a.m. For the Hindi medium, the batch begins on 9 June at 3 p.m. The classes will be conducted at C171 by 2, Block A, Sector 15, Noida, near Metro Station, Noida Sector 15. For more details, call 87501 87501. Question 1. Regarding the Official Secrets Act, OSA 1923, consider the following statements. 1. It originated from the Colonial Indian Official Secrets Act of 1889 and was strengthened under Lord Linlithgow in 1904. 2. It applies to all Indian citizens, including government officials in India and abroad, but excludes non-citizens. Which of the statements given above are correct? A. 1 only, B. 2 only, C. Both 1 and 2, or D. Neither 1 nor 2. The correct answer is option D. Official Secrets Act OSA 1923. It originated during the colonial era Indian Official Secrets Act 1889, aimed at suppressing press dissent, and was made more stringent in 1904 under Lord Curzon and finally revised in 1923. Hence, statement 1 is not correct. It aims to prevent espionage and unauthorized disclosure of classified sensitive information, protecting India's sovereignty, integrity, and strategic interests, especially from foreign threats. It applies to all Indian citizens, including government officials, both in India and abroad, and non-citizens if they are involved in acts of espionage. Hence, statement 2 is not correct. Sections of OSA 1923. Section 3 of the Act criminalizes espionage and acts against national security, including the possession of sensitive documents or the sharing of secret codes, with a punishment of imprisonment for up to 14 years. Section 5 penalizes unauthorized disclosure, possession, retention, or failure to return official documents, including those who knowingly receive such information. Section 10 deals with the penalty for harboring spies. Hence, option D is the correct answer. Question 2. Regarding cyclones, consider the following statements. 1. Rising global temperature caused the Hadley cell to expand, shifting storm tracks poleward and altering wind patterns that redirect cyclone paths. 2. Lower wind shear in regions like the tropics strengthens cyclones, whereas higher shear in areas such as the Atlantic weakens them and causes shifts to new regions. Which of the statements given above are correct? A. 1 only, B. 2 only, C. Both 1 and 2, or D, neither one nor two? The correct answer is option C. As global temperatures rise, the Hadley cell, atmospheric circulation near the equator, expands, pushing storm tracks towards higher latitudes, while changes in wind patterns, example jet streams, shift cyclone paths, exposing regions like Madagascar, East Asia, and parts of the Mediterranean to new risks. Hence, statement 1 is correct. Higher sea levels from melting ice and warming oceans worsen coastal flooding during storms, even without an increase in cyclone frequency. Lower wind shear in some regions, example tropics, help cyclones grow stronger, while higher shear in areas like the Atlantic can weaken storms, causing cyclones to shift to new regions. Hence, statement 2 is correct. Wind shear is the change in wind speed or direction over a short distance in the atmosphere, either horizontally or vertically. Warming in the polar regions, which is faster than in the tropics, reduces the equator to pole temperature gradient, shifting cyclone activity away from the equator. Hence, option C is the correct answer. Question 3. With reference to xenon gas, consider the following statements. 1. It is a rare, colorless, odorless, and chemically stable gas found in trace amounts in Earth's atmosphere and exists in gaseous forms only. 2. It protects against altitude sickness and hypoxia-related damage. 3. It is used to measure blood flow and image the brain, heart, and lungs. Which of the statements above is correct? A. 1 and 2 only, B. 2 and 3 only, C. 1 and 3 only, or D. 1, 2, and 3 only. The correct answer is option B. Xenon gas, stranger gas, is a rare, colorless, odorless, chemically stable, and non-reactive gas found in trace amounts in Earth's atmosphere. It is available in solid, liquid, and gaseous states. Hence, statement 1 is not correct. Applications of xenon: mountaineering. It has neuroprotective properties that enhances oxygen delivery, supports acclimatization, and guards against altitude sickness and hypoxia-related damage. Hence, statement 2 is correct. Medical. It acts as a natural aesthetic and when patch. It acts as a natural anesthetic and when inhaled with oxygen, stimulates hormone production that increases red blood cell count. It is also used to measure blood flow and image the brain, heart, and lungs. Hence, statement 3 is correct. Hence, option B is the correct answer. Question 4. Consider the following statements regarding electric vehicles or EVs. 1. EVs are generally lighter than internal combustion engine (ICE) vehicles due to battery packs. 2. EVs cut tailpipe emissions but increase non-exhaust pollution. 3. India's EV are powered mostly by renewable energy, making them carbon neutral. How many of the above statements are correct? A. Only 1, B. Only 2, C. All 3, or D. None. The correct answer is option A. The environmental concerns regarding electric vehicles (EVs). Tire microplastic pollution. EVs are typically 15 to 20% heavier than internal combustion engine (ICE) vehicles due to battery packs weighing 300 to 900 kilograms, leading to increased tire stress and wear. Hence, statement 1 is not correct. While EVs cut tailpipe emissions, they increase non-exhaust pollution, presenting a complex environmental trade-off. Hence, statement 2 is correct. Lithium-ion battery hazards. Manufacturing a single EV releases 16 to 19 tons of carbon dioxide, almost double that of an ICE vehicle, that is 7 to 10 tons. Grid dependency and fossil fuels. EVs are only as green as the grid that powers them. India's grid is still coal-dominated. Coal-fired power plants emit 800 to 850 grams of carbon dioxide per kilowatt-hour, which powers most EVs in India. Many public charging stations run on diesel generators, ironically increasing emissions. Hence, statement 3 is not correct. Hence, option A is the correct answer. Question 5. Consider the following statements with reference to the Himalayan mountain. 1. These are block mountains formed by faulting. 2. Himalayan mountain ranges are wider on the eastern side compared to the western side. 3. Dunes are longitudinal valleys formed between the Lesser Himalayas and the Shivalik range due to fluvial erosion and tectonic activity. How many of the above statements are correct? A. Only one. B. Only two. C. All three. Or D. None. The correct answer is option A. The Himalayas are young-fold mountains among the loftiest and most rugged in the world. Hence, statement 1 is not correct. They stretch along the northern borders of India, forming an arc. Width varies from 400 kilometers in Kashmir to 150 kilometers in Arunachal Pradesh. That is, the Himalayan mountain ranges are wider on the western side compared to the eastern side. Hence, statement 2 is not correct. Longitudinal divisions of the Himalayas. The Himalayas consist of three parallel ranges: Great or Inner Himalayas, Himadri, northernmost and highest. Middle Himalayas or Himachal includes Pir Panjal, Dhauladhar, etc. Outer Himalayas or Shivaliks are southernmost and lowest. Dunes are longitudinal valleys found between the Lesser Himalayas or Himachal and the Shivalik range. They are formed due to fluvial erosion and tectonic activity, with examples including Dehradun, Kotli Dun and Patli Dun. Hence, statement 3 is correct. Therefore, option A is the correct answer. Question 6. Regarding the coal sector, consider the following statements. 1. India holds the world's fifth largest coal reserves and is the largest consumer of coal globally. 2. Odisha, Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh are the top three coal-rich states in India, together holding about 69% of the country's total coal reserves. 3. Shakti policy of 2017 aims to make coal allocation transparent by moving from a nomination-based system to auction or tariff-based bidding. How many of these statements given above are correct? A. Only one. B. Only two. C. All three. Or D. None. The correct answer is option B. India has the world's fifth largest coal reserves and is the second biggest coal consumer. Hence, statement 1 is not correct. Odisha, Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh are the top three coal-rich states in India, together holding about 69% of the country's total coal reserves. Hence, statement 2 is correct. The government has approved the revised Shakti policy to boost coal availability and simplify power sector operators by replacing the nomination-based coal allocation system with a transparent auction and tariff-based bidding. Hence, statement 3 is correct. Therefore, option B is the correct answer. Question 7. Regarding state development loans, SDLs, consider the following statements. 1. They are debt securities issued by state governments within their borrowing limits to finance budget deficits. 2. They typically pay interest twice a year and return the principal amount upon maturity, usually after 10 years. Which of the statements given above are correct? A. 1 only. B. 2 only. C. Both 1 and 2. Or D. None. The correct answer is option C. State development loans or SDLs are debt securities issued by state governments within their borrowing limits to finance budget deficits. Hence, statement 1 is correct. They typically pay interest twice a year and return the principal amount upon maturity, usually after 10 years, though other durations are possible. Hence, statement 2 is correct. The returns or yields on SDLs tend to be higher than those on central government bonds. SDLs are tradable electronically and are primarily held by banks, insurance firms, mutual funds, provident funds, and other institutional investors, along with retail investors. Hence, option C is the correct answer. Question 8. Regarding rice, consider the following statements. 1. India ranks second after China in rice production, with roughly 1/4 of its total cropped land dedicated to rice cultivation. 2. It is a kharif crop that requires high temperature, above 25 degrees C, and high humidity, with annual rainfall above 100 centimeter. Which of the statements given above are not correct? A. 1 only. B. 2 only. C. Both 1 and 2. Or D. Neither 1 nor 2. The correct answer is option D. Rice is a staple food for most Indians and is cultivated using irrigation in low rainfall areas. In southern states and West Bengal, the climate conditions allow the cultivation of 2 or 3 crops of rice in an agricultural year. India ranks second after China in rice production, with roughly one-fourth of its total crop land dedicated to rice cultivation. Hence, statement 1 is correct. Leading producer states are West Bengal, Uttar Pradesh and Punjab. High-yielding states, Punjab, Tamil Nadu, Haryana, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, West Bengal and Kerala. It is a kharif crop that requires high temperature, above 25 degrees Celsius, and high humidity and annual rainfall above 100 centimeters. Hence, statement 2 is correct. Hence, option D is the correct answer. Question 9. Which of the following committees examined the adequacy of RBI's capital buffers and the quantum of surplus to be transferred? A. V. Subramaniam Committee 1997. 2. Usha Thorat Committee 2004. 3. Y. H. Manigam Committee 2013 or 4. Bimal Jalan Committee 2018. Select the correct answer using the code given below. A. 1 and 2 only, B. 2 and 3 only, C. 1 only, or D. 1, 2, 3 and 4. The correct answer is option D. Over the years, several expert committees have examined the adequacy of the Reserve Bank of India, RBI capital buffers and the quantum of surplus to be transferred. V. Subramaniam Committee of 1997, Usha Thorat Committee of 2004, Y. H. Manigam Committee of 2013 recommended higher transfers to the government while maintaining prudent reserves. Bimal Jalan Committee 2018 introduced the Revised Economic Capital Framework or ECF, balancing risk provisioning with fiscal needs. Following these recommendations, particularly the Manigam and Jalan committees, the RBI has progressively increased its surplus transfers to the government, ensuring both macroeconomic stability and fiscal space for public spending. Hence, option D is the correct answer. Question 10. Which of the following best describes the term Economic Capital Framework or ECF? A. A mechanism used by the RBI to determine the appropriate level of risk provisions and surplus transfer to the government. B. A framework to regulate interest rates on loans and deposits in the Indian banking system. C. A government policy to allocate capital subsidies to small and medium enterprises. Or D. A program initiated by the RBI to promote financial literacy among rural populations. The correct answer is option A. The Economic Capital Framework ECF is a structured mechanism adopted by the Reserve Bank of India or RBI to determine the appropriate level of risk provisions and the surplus profit that can be transferred to the Government of India under Section 47 of the RBI Act 1934. The framework was recommended by the former RBI Governor Bimal Jalan Committee 2018 and formally adopted in 2019. It aims to strike a balance between maintaining adequate financial buffers for monetary and financial stability and ensuring prudent surplus distribution. It enables the RBI to maintain a contingency risk buffer or CRB as a financial safeguard against unforeseen shocks like currency volatility and economic crises. Hence, option A is the correct answer. And now it's time for today's practice question. Regarding the Jal Jeevan Mission, consider the following statements. 1. Launched in 2019, the initiative aims to provide tap water to all Indian households by 2047. 2. The fund sharing pattern between the center and states is 90:10 for all the states and union territories. 3. Goa and Dadra and Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu are the first state and union territory in the country to be certified as Har Ghar Jal. How many of these statements given above are correct? A. Only 1, B. Only 2, C. All 3, or D. None. Do send us your answers in the comments. Thanks for watching.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.